Hello friends, my name is Abhishek Lingwal. I'm a graduate student at NC State and this project is about provisioning and configuration management. So in this project we are trying to automate the provision of an NGINX server on an AWS instance and a DigitalOcean droplet. So basically using Ansible we will automate creation of an instance and then installing NGINX server and starting the NGINX server. So first I will show you the script. So in the script, as you can see that it checks that it needs one parameter, which is the playbook file detail, and then I have disabled the Ansible host key checking false, since when Ansible tries to log into the VM instances which are created, it should not check the known host file and ask for yes or no in order to add that host. So by setting it to false, it will automatically not check the known host file and log in into the VM instance. After that I run a Python script which basically starts the VM instances in AWS and DigitalOcean, and once the instances are started it waits for 1 minute in order for the instance. The AWS has some basic checking mechanism and the DigitalOcean droplet also has some checking mechanism which takes small time before the instance is actually up. So I wait for 1 minute before running my playbook on these two instances. So I will go through the code now. So over here this create inventory file Python file is basically starts with starting an AWS instance first. So I will just open the AWS provision Python file. So in this I create a AWS client with a particular region, that is US East 1 region. I have a free Ubuntu image ID which I can provision for free. I set the instance type to micro instance, and I have a key value already created in AWS with name DevOps homework 1 key. Then I set the security group, which basically tells it what kind of traffic should income, what kind of traffic should outgo, which is pre-configured. And then I call create instance. So create instance basically calls the run instance method, which takes the details such as image ID, instance types, key value, security group, and the max number of instance I want to create of this particular image ID. So once I have called the run instance method, I need to wait before the instance is actually running. So I poll on the instance for every 10 seconds, and once the instance is created it just displays that successfully provisioned AWS VM, and I copy the public IP of the created instance. For this in order to create this instance I have already copied the key file from the AWS console in my local machine and pasted in the SSH folder. I can show you that. So if I do a list of, so over you can see that AWS instance key file is a key file which I have downloaded from the AWS console. So when my instance is created I will use this key file to log in without using password. So this is basically a passwordless SSH using the key. Once AWS instance is provisioned, then I provision a DigitalOcean droplet. So DigitalOcean droplet, before I provision I just tell him the details, that is the kind of image which I want to use, the data center region ID, the image ID, and the path of the key with which this instance is created. So in DigitalOcean I have already uploaded my public key into the DigitalOcean. So when I create a new droplet in DigitalOcean it uses my public key. So when I need to log into the instance I will use my private key to log into the instance. So I can show you the private key over here. So over here id underscore ras is my private key, and I have uploaded this public key into the DigitalOcean, which basically uses this public key, which attaches this public key to the instance which I created in DigitalOcean. So and once I have created the instances, so once I call the create droplet routine, which takes the token, which is my account token, in order to authenticate myself, the droplet name, the region, the image name, the memory, and the key, it creates an instance, and I just poll onto the instance before the instance is actually started. Once the instance is started, I copy the IP and go back to my create inventory Python file. So over here, once it is done with the provisioning, it will create a file. The file is basically the inventory file which is used by the Ansible for the node detail. So it creates a file, it opens a file, and then it basically starts appending text to the file. So it appends text as shown over here, which says the host name, the username, and the private key path. So and this is created with a tag called as NGINX. So once this Python script is executed, I have 2 VM up and running and the inventory file created. So once the inventory file is created, in the script you can see that it checks that whether the creation was successful or not. If it was successful, then it waits for 1 minute, and after 1 minute it starts running the playbook. The playbook basically takes the inventory file and the path of the playbook. Once the playbook is run, it says installation complete. So I will show you a demo. Before showing you a demo, I will just show you that I have no instance running in AWS and DigitalOcean. So I will execute this script by going to script folder and then running install NGINX and giving the path of the playbook file, NGINX, and then NGINX. I'll show you the NGINX playbook file also. So it basically tells that install NGINX, the package name, and once the package is installed, it starts the NGINX server. So I will do install NGINX, nginx.pyml, and I will start. So it's starting NGINX server. Then it went to the AWS and start trying to create a instance over there. So this basically takes some time. So I'll pause the video for some time. As you can see, it has created an instance, but polling onto the instance before the instance is up and running in AWS. So as you can see, it has created the AWS instances. Now it's creating the DigitalOcean instances. So it's done with the creation of the droplet in the DigitalOcean, and once it's done, it will display the IP address of both the VMs which are spawned and create an inventory file. Once the inventory file is created, it waits for 1 minute before running the playbook. That 1 minute is basically for the instance boot up to complete. In the meantime, I can show you the inventory file created by the Python file. So it's created in there is a folder called as ansible conf, and then there is an inventory file, and in the inventory file you can see the tag name of NGINX, and there is 2 host entry over here. So it just tells the IP, the username to use to log in, and the key for passwordless SSH. So over here it's still waiting for it's basically sleeping for 1 minute. So it's done. After waiting, it starts running the playbook. Over here you can see that it starts running the playbook, and the playbook you can see that it works on both the node 0 and node 1. So it says okay for node 1. That means we're able to connect to node 1. So as we can see, it's started installing NGINX server on both the nodes. It started running the NGINX server, and it just said that it had made some changes on both the nodes. So it's done with the installation, and the installation is complete. I can verify this installation by using these IPs which are printed. So I first go to the AWS IP and check whether the NGINX server is up and running. So I can see it says welcome to NGINX. So the NGINX server is running on the AWS. Now I'll verify on the DigitalOcean droplet platform. So if I use that IP, it also shows that it shows welcome to NGINX, and I can verify that the NGINX server was installed and started running on both the servers. Also you can see that the VMs are started on both AWS and DigitalOcean. So once we are done with provisioning the NGINX server, now we need to do the configuration management. So basically this Python installation needs some packages which are not present, and this Python script will not be able to run. For that I will use Python virtual environment. So in order to create a new virtual environment, I will fire the below command. For this virtual environment needs to be installed, which I can install it using pip. So I will just create a new virtual environment for particular Python configuration which I am using, that is 2.7, and give it a name. So it will create a new Python virtual environment. So once it's created, I will source it using giving the path of the new virtual environment. Activate. So what happens over here, now I'm in the virtual Python environment. So the code which I execute in this virtual Python environment will be different from the standard local installation. So if I plan to install over here the libraries which I used for the Python file, for example boto3, so it installs boto3. If I install another DigitalOcean Python library which I have used over here, DigitalOcean Python _ DigitalOcean. So I'll just confirm the package name. It's Python - DigitalOcean. So it installs the DigitalOcean Python also. So all this package which are getting installed is in the virtual environment and not in the local Python environment. So once I'm done with the required installation, I will just deactivate the environment. So as you can see, it went to the local. Now it's not no more in the virtual environment. So if I want to save this configuration which I created just now, I'll just use the pip freeze command, pip freeze, and I can just redirect it to a new dependency file .txt. So what it will do is it will create a dependency.txt file which contains all the packages which were present in the virtual environment. So if I need to install all the dependencies, I just need to do pip install -r, mention the dependency.txt file. So as you have seen that we have successfully provisioned the NGINX server and done the configuration management for the required Python package. So I have just uploaded these details in my GitHub repository. You can check it over there. Thank you.